Next challenge will see our teams pushed to the absolute limits again. With a high tide and a rough current, just two of the ingredients to worry about, this search and rescue challenge really needs thinking about.
This military amphibious course will require skills that work both in the water and on land. The teams are challenged with 4 kilometres of running, swimming, and of course reconnecting with some old acquaintances along the way.
So search and rescue, we're gonna make our way out into the water, make our way around 2 buoys. If we need to swim, we're gonna have to swim, or if we can stand and run through the water.
Running knee-deep through water is a challenge few of these athletes have prepared for.
Quite heavy, I think, because you are till the middle in the water, it will be tough.
By the time they reach the obstacles on the beach, they will be tired and deflated. One thing is for sure, they certainly won't be happy.
Pick up 4 sandbags and run with them along the shoreline to a carrier.
Put all the sandbags on the stretcher, come with the stretcher back to the point where we start running from the sea.
Drop off the sandbags and then run back, drop off the stretcher.
And then have a fast sprint back towards the finish.
The time will only stop when the last member of the team crosses the finish line. An endurance challenge on foot couldn't have come at a worse time for the winners of our previous challenge, Team Australia.
We've got a running race. So you have to decide whether or not you stand down. Yep, done.
I exacerbated the hamstring in the last activity to a point where it's probably elevated to a grade 2. So as it is, there's a fair bit of damage there. With running is just not an option at all.
For this challenge, UFC rules state that you must start each race with at least 5 team members. So they're in good shape now, but the Australians must not lose another athlete to injury.
An injury is something you can't plan for. It affects the dynamic of the team. You know, the team have lost a male, so in a pretty heavy activity, that's tough for people to pick the slack up on. It's a bit of a bloody tragedy in a way.
Australia may have won their previous challenge, but with a key member of their team still injured, their optimism has faded.
I'm not happy, but it's UFC. They throw curveballs at us, and we're here to perform. So we change our strategy and we just go out and give it our best.
Meanwhile, the team is desperately trying to reach the first buoy in the best way they can. It's a struggle for sure, and bad for morale.
And I had a grumpy face on, was sulking pretty much up until the swim. But then I kind of had a little talking to myself and partaked in the team activity again. Same as always, we give it our best. Just hope that we cross the finish line all together.
But already in the first few hundred metres, the pace is down.
It was a really tough race. The water was quite shallow in parts, and then it sort of got to this deep, which was this deep for me, but a bit short. So the water depth was a bit tricky because it was difficult to swim. You scraped your knuckles on the reef underneath.
Everybody all right?
As a team, exhausted from running, swimming and scrapping their way through over 1 kilometre of water, Australia finally arrive at the second leg of today's challenge.
And then coming back in and collecting our sandbags. Well, we all love sandbags.
They're Vicky's favourite. I think they're just keeping them in for that reason.
20 kilos each, 4 in total. You're welcome.
Because we had won a race, now it was starting to get a little bit more serious, and so there were more nerves and a little bit more concern that we might not do so well, because all of a sudden we realised that we probably could be a bit competitive. So yeah, the nerves were up.
With the sandbags placed on the stretcher, Australia are now ready to trudge 1/2 kilometre across the sand. Good luck, that stretcher's now fully loaded.
I think we worked well, especially carrying that stretcher. It's bloody heavy.
As in a full 100 kilos heavy. Nevertheless, the team is trying to stick to its plan.
When one team member felt that they were battling, another one stepped in, and we just kept pushing forwards.
Come on, not far to go.
Good to go?
To everyone's relief, the sandbags can be dropped. Now the stretcher must be returned to the other side of the beach.
Go, mate, turn! Round the flag, round the flag.
The running home on the beach, though, with that weight and the softness of the sand was exhausting. All our muscles were burning. It was an incredibly exhausting race. But with that exhaustion, you know, 5 or 10 minutes later, it's that exhilaration as well, so yeah, it's good.
Just a few more metres to go and Team Australia are finished, but the clock only stops ticking once that last team member crosses the line.
Come on! Let's go! Good work.
Robin, awesome finish. Back doors in the mud.
Great work, Adam.
I'm not a runner. No, never confess to being a runner.
Of course, we enjoyed it. Once we finished, yeah.
That was fantastic.
Up next we have Belgium, a team with several fanatic endurance runners.
We are pretty excited about our new challenge. We are all fit, so we're gonna go for it.
But this isn't the type of running they're used to.
Running through the sea, I think that was the heaviest part. Because you can't see in the water what it's in it. There are rocks, sometimes there is a hole. You have to run a little bit careful, but also quick. It's hard to run in the sea. It was the hardest part. When we came out of the water with the sandbag, sandbag we knew already, so it was our friend, so the sandbag.
And of course, friends can sometimes plot against you. After ploughing through the water, shouldering 20-kilogram sandbags on loose sand is a nightmare even for the best trained athletes, and even worse for those who are less powerful.
We told Bianca, don't carry a sandbag, just keep on running.
From our team, she's the worst runner.
Just keep running, we will carry the sandbags, we go to the stretch, just keep on running.
With their great teamwork and role clarity, Team Belgium looked nothing like the team from the previous challenge.
She just turned around and she started running back to the starting point. We took the stretcher, put everything on, we start running. The distance stays almost the same, so that we thought it will be okay.
In the meantime, Bianca is running her own race.
She did really well. She just kept on going. She said I got a little part in my head. He says run, 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 run. So she did really good.
Team Belgium have just arrived to drop off the sandbags now. They've taken a little bit of a different tactic. Will this work for them? Who knows? They've got some time to go against.
And so far, their strategy seems to be paying off.
We came back and then we almost finished together. So Bianca was a little bit in front of us, so it was, I think, a good tactic.
Squeezing every bit of energy out of their bodies, Team Belgium crossed the finish line.
Come on, guys!
Oh, my God. Okay, guys. Attention!
Back at the start line, Team Canada are ready to go.
We had to run in the water to a buoy that was fairly far out. The tide was out, but it was coming in, and we knew we had to be quick or we were going to be swimming. So we ran as quick as we could, ended up swimming to the one buoy that was far left.
Policeman Paul is the first to reach the sandbags and quickly heads up the beach. His teammate Matt arrives shortly afterwards and one-ups his teammate by taking two. When JJ sees this, she corrects Matt immediately.
Drop in that!
Matt obeys and drops one of the sandbags, playing into each team member's strengths. JJ lets Brooke do the heavy lifting.
Drop, Brooke!
I shared my sandbag with Carson. Her and I crushed that bag.
But with Paul waiting at the stretcher, it immediately becomes clear that something is wrong. It's taking way too long for the others to reach the turnaround point. The guys are on their way, but it takes a while for the girls to catch up, even though they're dividing the weight of the sandbag. Brooke and Matt have arrived, but the clock keeps ticking. Now with the team all together, the stretcher is the next hurdle.
Issa took a corner and the guys took a corner and we worked well together. Like we had a good pace, we communicated really well and we came together on that one. I know one of the previous days, the amphibious cross, we had a bit of an issue with each other, I think, and some communication and prep work, but this one it felt good. We all felt like we equally contributed.
You okay?
No, I'm killing myself, man.
You want me to take over?
Yeah, switch.
Pause. Go.
Maddie, you're taking the front, I'll take the rear. Done. Ready?
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Down.
Bags off.
At this point, Matt and Paul take the lead. Things seem to be going very well now that communication is restored.
We worked as a team and we finished it, and that says a lot, I think.
Dropping the stretcher means every athlete for himself. Just 500 metres left. But remember, the clock only stops when the last team member crosses that finish line. Matt, looking spent after carrying all that weight, finishes last. And with him over the line, the clock can stop.
Guys, good effort.
How was that?
That was good. Oh.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's it like out there? That current looks like it's getting up
Deep,
a touch.
buddy, it's getting deep.
Yeah.
Swimming. Yeah.
How did you feel?
Strong.
Yeah?
That was fun.
We worked well as a team this time.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
You had a real good tactic going there. I saw the guys shoot off and the girls and carrying a couple of bags in and then leaving them for you.
They killed it. They were such a strong start, right? So it makes it easier for us to pick them up towards the end and share them, right? And then I think we distributed the weight evenly so we could have a steady pace throughout. We talked about it, but you know how it never works how planned, but that one did. Like, that's the best we could have done. It just felt good because we were a team.
Teamwork is essential. This much is clear. Let's see how Team South Africa will do. They're up next.
With us being one of the last teams to go into this obstacle, the tide was coming in. All the other teams to go ahead of us were sort of going straight out for the buoy, trying to find the shortest way possible to the buoy. The problem with that, with the tide coming in, is it gets deeper. It's quite a lot of walking through the water, running through the water. It's going to tire out your legs. So what we decided to do was we saw there was a sandbank out to the left, quite a far way out to the left. We decided, you know, go out the sandbank, rather run an extra 200, 300 meters, you know, save the legs, trying to get through the deep water.
One thing is for sure, like the others, the first part seems to sap a lot of energy from the athletes. And energy is desperately needed during the rest of the challenge. But as always, the morale is high.
I think everybody was on a very strong foot today and everybody was determined to make up for the lack of ability and strength.
Team South Africa seem highly motivated, but it doesn't show in their pace. Saving energy at this point could be their strategy. And it's precisely these types of tactics that can win races. Nevertheless, with more meters to run, South Africa have to pick up their pace.
We boasted and bragged every single day and we had bragging rights. And now all of a sudden we were losing these bragging rights and we were making a mockery of ourselves by losing. Just hearing the other countries just take a dab at us was what drove us to push that much harder and go for victory.
Team South Africa have led the Photonis Ultimate Forces Challenge from day one, but over the past few weeks they've been losing ground. If they want to retain their top position, they have to start winning races, beginning today, and they sure know it.
It just makes you that much more hungry to go for victory and to get the gold.
Exhausted from their swim, but eager to put the other teams in their place, they quickly make their way to the second leg of the challenge. As a team, they reach the stretcher.
Come, guys. 1, 2, 3, up. Back!
Oh, a bit lopsided at first.
Got it, buddy.
They quickly adjust and trot down the beach.
There's nothing that I'm concerned about, there's nothing I'm worried about. It's just one of those challenges where you put your head down and get through it.
And that's exactly what they do. Put their head down and run.
I absolutely loved it. You know, you challenge yourself, you push yourself, your adrenaline is pumping, and you just know that you're on top of your game.
Once the stretcher is delivered, it's just a matter of 500 metres to that finish line. Sucking up every last bit of oxygen in their lungs, they sprint towards the finish line.
When it was finished, you actually question yourself, is that it? Is that all? I want more. I want to do it again.
The team finished strong with Dina in front. She's been ill for the last few days, but came back and gave literally everything she had for this race.
Yes! Well done.
During our stay in Bali, there were quite a few contestants that came down with Bali fever. Dina is an absolute fighter. She's incredibly strong. She's incredibly mentally strong. And she was determined not to sit out, and she was determined to get involved. And unfortunately, her lung capacity couldn't sustain having the fever and everything. She did take a lot of strain, and she did put her body under immense pressure and stress. And I think it was only afterwards that we realized just how hard she pushed herself, and she needed oxygen and she needed medical attention.
But top athletes tend to recover quickly, and fortunately, Dina is no exception. 15 minutes after finishing, Dina is back on her feet, but she knows more challenges await. The Americans are the last team up.
We're down to 5, and Steph's a little injured, but we're really excited to see how we're going to perform today.
During the last relay race, Stephanie injured her ankle. It's a genuine point of concern, but the team decide to start anyway.
As soon as we started going, her ankle gave out. That's not good. Well, as a team, we just stopped this one then.
It's frustrating. I caught my foot in the rope ladder and sprained my ankle. Tried doing an event there yesterday and made it worse.
UFC rules state that at least 5 athletes need to compete in each event. Stephanie's injury forces Team USA to forfeit the race.
It's emotional, right? It's shitty. Like I feel like my pride's kind of out the window a little bit here. I kind of feel like a little bitch that's copping out, and that's completely not my style. Yeah, just feel like I kind of let people down, let my team down.
For Team USA, the challenge ends before it begins. This unexpected turn of events sends the team into a state of disarray. Of course, they meet up with the other teams to hear the results, obviously ended up in 5th place.
Team Canada.
We just finished 4th. At least it's better than 5th.
A 3rd place, Team Australia.
A great challenge. It's just a shame that we're not the big monsters like the other teams.
So who are the monsters? Let's find out who won the amphibious course.
Team South Africa.
We absolutely had so much fun, and the strategy was just put it all out, and wow, we put more than what was required. We absolutely smashed it.
And with South Africa victorious, this automatically means Team Belgium come second.
Great feeling. We came up second. It's unfortunate, but we just couldn't make it with 2 players down.
Unable to finish the race due to Stephanie's injury, Team USA come last. But the real danger for the Americans is what happens in the next challenge. If Stephanie is unable to compete, then Team USA will be eliminated from the UFC tournament and have to go home. But as the tournament heads into the final stretch, several teams are fighting for survival. South Africa and Belgium did exactly what they needed to sustain their leads. But Australia, the USA and Team Canada have work left to do if they want to reach the finals. Team USA in particular dire straits as they risk elimination from the whole competition.
Today was a tough day.